Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Shabadu ki, Shri Shri Radha Shamashundar ki. Go Premanandi, oh glorious to the assembled devotees, oh glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga, glorious to Shri Prabhupada, Nama Om Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhaktale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani, Namaste Saraswate Devi, Gauravani Visharine Nevasesh Shunyavadi, Ashtachadesh Tarini. The other table never manifested.
Sorry. My apologies.
Here it comes. Jai. Hare Krishna. So, welcome everybody this evening, and back here in Plainsfield.
Yes, plain.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Back again. How dependent we are on externals in this phenomenal world, isn't it? Without the sun, we cannot see. Our eyes are useless. All of our technology is useless without the sun. What to speak of the air, the water, the earth. Everything. Without the ether we cannot hear. Without the air we cannot smell. Without the earth we cannot touch. And without the water we cannot taste. We take it for granted sometimes that these sensory perceptions are ours, and we get attached and sometimes proud of our sensory abilities, but we're completely dependent even in speaking. And we can't speak louder, of course. I don't know the sound, how it is spreading through the hall. I don't know. I can only hear from here. I would like to ask at the back. They may not be able to answer, but can they hear? That those who can hear said Haribol. Those who can't hear say, I don't know what they can't hear, so they can't say. If we can't hear, we can't say. So I don't know if the ladies, I believe they're ladies sitting there at the back, or the gentleman sitting at the back, or whatever, who's sitting over here, I don't know. Can you ask and see if they can hear?
Yes, ma'am. This side, back side, everybody.
Can or not can? Can. Okay. It's an interesting subject. But that's the whole process of Krishna consciousness. Can we hear, isn't it? It's all about hearing. It doesn't stop there. Even to do something, we have to hear. Because we may do something, but we don't know what it will be. But when we hear, even in the material sense of the term, what to do? We don't generally concoct, or we may do, but that's not the proper system. A way to do things. You want to drive a car You have to hear from somebody, either in the written word or verbal, or both usually. We have to hear what to do. We don't just drive it. Even to understand how to drive it, we have to hear. Practically speaking, knowledge is transmitted through this process. It may be written down also, but it's just another form of hearing. But the principle of hearing is the secret of understanding. Because when we hear, perhaps we have a Bhagavad Gita here. We can hear. If we have a Bhagavad Gita here, we can hear. Something's coming. Here is the Bhagavad Gita. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. Take the Bhagavatam away because it's
Okay.
hard to read otherwise. It's very high. Interesting book stand you have here. It looks like it's had a few battles with somebody. There it goes.
Matsya.
It's finished now. It looks more like a war, something with, medieval war sign or something.
That's a Matsya.
That's
Huh?
yeah.
Matsya! Okay, well Matsya's lost a few bits, maybe. Maybe he's all there, I don't know. Unusual. Very wonderful. Okay, he's taking a rest right now. Huh? I usually find book stands are very hard to read from because the book's kind of like this, Yeah, flat. Transcendental knowledge. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Shapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Upagadayam Tadaki Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Upam Sarvajatam Sagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sarvedam Sarutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatkate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vrindaveshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Vanamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Let's read from the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And let's see what verse we read. We'll read 2 verses, text number 38 and 39. Chapter 4 is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. This is towards the end of the chapter, where Krishna has already basically covered the subject matter of transcendental knowledge and how to attain it. And now some summarizing verses, you could say. Text 38. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate tatsayam yoga samsiddha kalena mani vindati. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Here Prabhupada writes in the purport, when we speak of transcendental knowledge, we do so in terms of spiritual understanding. As such, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. In material terms, when we talk of knowledge, it doesn't always refer to, let's say, a practical application. It may do, but it may in of itself be seen a man of learning. He has knowledge of a subject matter. He may be credited for his erudition, but he may not be practically applying it, or he may be. But it doesn't necessitate that he is. People get sometimes quite enthusiastic about assimilating material knowledge. Some people, they spend most of their life just accumulating different, departments, or trying to study different departments of knowledge, so-called knowledge, phenomenal knowledge, material knowledge. I guess they get some pleasure out of it. You all do, to a certain extent. When we know something, we feel a certain kind of pleasure. It's not very deep, and it can easily be swayed. If somehow or other we find out that our so-called knowledge is disproven or doesn't work, we may become a little disappointed. But still, nonetheless, there's something to be said about, a kind of a exhilarating experience when we have knowledge of the subject matter, no matter what it is. It may be shrouded with predominantly with false egotistical background. We're proud, we try to show it off, maybe we compete with others over it, or whatever, something mundane. But Prabhupada says here, when we talk of transcendental knowledge, we're not just talking of theoretical knowledge or book knowledge, simply repeating what it says in the Vedas. So it's okay in one sense, but that's not what's being discussed here. What's being discussed here is in terms of actual understanding of that knowledge. Even in the material world, practically speaking, we experience it without knowing how to apply the knowledge. The knowledge can sometimes be detrimental, or let's say not very productive. We have to know how to practically apply the knowledge in circumstances, and not necessarily every circumstance is the same. So that type of knowledge requires a little bit more experience, a little bit more intelligence, rather than even some non-human living entities can parrot-like fashion learn things. They have no intelligence to know how to apply it in practical terms. So similarly, many people have knowledge of various things, but they may not know how to apply it properly in different circumstances. That takes a little bit more, let's say, understanding and maybe experience. And same thing in spiritual life. This chapter is called Transcendental Knowledge. It's not just called knowledge. transcendental knowledge. And transcendental knowledge is a realized knowledge. It's not just a theory. It's like in science, there's not much use to it if it never has any applicable purpose. Minimal, if any, value whatsoever. In fact, it's a waste of time. So it has to be of some use, some practical use. So similarly, Vedic knowledge, teachings of Gita, whatever they are, it has to have some application, otherwise it's not really much use. You could say there's a use in the sense that it is, nonetheless, the words of Krishna, and one will become purified by repeating those words, but it may take a long time. There has to be, there's a methodology of you have serving, say, the instructions of Krishna or the Vedas in a way that Krishna will reciprocate and give us the realization of the knowledge, or say, the source of the knowledge and the real nature of that knowledge. And that is what's being referred to here more than just knowledge, which can be, just spewed out, so to speak. But it's actually to apply it in our lives. And that's where the transcendental enjoyment, pleasure comes. And there is no doubt some reflection of that knowledge when we just simply speak and repeat. That's the process also. But the actual essential, the internal realization or pleasure, which is being mentioned here, is when we apply that knowledge in our lives and there's some purification of our consciousness and consequent realization of the subject matter. Ignorance is the cause of bondage, and knowledge is the cause of liberation. That's described in this 4th chapter, also in the last verse particularly. But in this verse, ignorance is the cause of our bondage, and knowledge is the cause of our liberation. So, depends what knowledge is. In the material sense, we can say, we can sort of give an example, I suppose. When we're lost, we don't know where we're going, we're in ignorance where we're going, and then someone gives us knowledge, then we can get free from our dilemma. And that may be applicable to so many different subject matters, but just giving one example, there are directions. Imagine if you were to get on a bus. I guess you still have buses here in America, which you can get on and go from A to B. And you get in the bus, and the bus driver asks you, where are you going? I don't know. You're supposed to know where you're going. You're in ignorance. He'll probably tell you to get off the bus. Where are you going? Where are you going, buddy? I don't know. Well, I know where you're going, buddy. You're getting off the bus. Okay. Or even worse, if you get on the bus and you say to the bus driver, where are you going? And he says, I don't know. It's even worse. You definitely get off the bus. Unless you want some mystery tour somewhere. But basically speaking, the material, although people have some relative idea where they're going, their idea of where they're going is very short. It's not very deep or very, they don't really know where they're going for long. Maybe on the immediate here and now, they have some idea we're going from here to wherever it is, New Brunswick or somewhere. But that's just on the surface, that's just external. Internally, people don't know where they're going, and even they read Bhagavad Gita, and even they read the Vedas, still stuck in this material world, actually in ignorance of who they are, what's the real purpose behind the Vedas. Well, Bhagavad Krishna explains what the purpose behind the Vedas is himself, but still they don't seem to pick it up. What does Krishna say? I'm sure you got it. There's like 5 devotees at once all saying probably all the same thing, and there's all a bit overlapping there. Sarva Shachaham Risani Vishto Taksmatir Dhyano Pavanam Cha Panditji is behind us here. He's very learned in Vedic, or at least in Bhagavad Gita. Very nice. Nice to know these verses, but they're meant to be applied as well. Knowledge is meant to be used, isn't it? It's like many ladies and many men also, very good at cooking. But simply to have the recipe will not satisfy the tongue. If we go here after, maybe, is there prasadam after this program? If you go to the kitchen, or rather go to the prasadam hall, and there's nothing there. Instead they've got a screen up with a recipe on it. Yes, here's kofta. Picture of a kofta and a recipe underneath it. We're serving koftas tonight. And here's the kheer, nice bowl of kheer. And there's some puris, and whatever it is. Sambar or something. Dosa or whatever. Just looking at the pictures is not going to satisfy us very much. It may be interesting, but it's not going to satisfy our tongue. You don't go out there and expect that, you know. What's this? Yes, prasad. That's kofta. What's that? Samosa. And there's a nice recipe there, but you've got to cook it. We're going to die if we don't eat. You've got to cook it. So the knowledge has to be applied, practically speaking, put into practice. So spiritual knowledge is like that too. Krishna speaking transcendental knowledge, but we've got to digest it. Otherwise we don't get any strength. Even the knowledge, if we don't eat the food, even if we know how to cook it, it's not going to satisfy our hunger. It may satisfy a little bit of our intellect, but not our hunger. We've got to, same thing with spiritual knowledge, we've got to digest it. It's got to go in, and it's got to vitalize our organs, our whole existence. Surcharged. Spiritual surcharge. By applying these instructions in our life. Prabhupada gives the example in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. It's like licking on a bottle of honey. You have very big bottles of honey in America. I've never seen such big bottles. How big was that bottle this morning? How big was it, Rasika? Huh? Half a gallon? Geez, half a gallon bottle of honey. Can you imagine? Most places the bottles are like this big, you know. And you've got this massive bottle of honey, you can hardly pick it up. Only American people can pick up honey, big size. Probably they drink it in one gulp, maybe that's how they work. A bottle a day. A bottle of honey a day. What does that do? I don't know. Keep something away. And anyway, a big bottle of honey, but if you lick on the bottle, what will you get? You get a sore tongue. What else will you get? Tired. What else will you get? Huh? What's she say? Frustrated, okay. You get frustrated, right? Well, you may not know what it is like. You may think, wow, I'm licking on the honey. This is great. Look at me, I'm licking on honey. We're kind of imagining it. It's nice, but it's not the real thing. So material life is like that, really. We're just licking on a honey pot. The material world is just like a reflection. It's not even a shadow practically. It's a reflection of the spiritual world. It's like if you see a reflection in the water. Sometimes you don't know it. It looks real. You might jump in after something stupid. Well, let's say people who are ignorant may do that. Stories like that, or some animal may do that also. Thinking it's the real thing. It's just a reflection. Reflection in the mirror. You see a budgies, little bird, budgerigar. They just peck at the mirror all day long. They're actually thinking it's another bird in the mirror. They can't get it. Flies, they spend all day trying to get out the window, you know. They can't get it. They're in ignorance. It's just futile endeavor. So we're saying in the material world, we're just futilely trying to get some pleasure out of this temporary reflective energy, which is gone. That which we're trying to put all our energy into in a few minutes is gone. It's not there anymore, it just doesn't exist. Not in that form. Even our family, they're gone. But we put all our energy into it, depending on it, you know. We're crazy when we lose it. It's just a reflection, it's not the reality. So transcendental knowledge has to be put into practical application, and then we may get some realization of the actual reality of which this material world is a reflection. It's like a reflection of the sunlight. It's got something there, but it's not the real thing. This knowledge, not material, this transcendental knowledge can free us from the bondage of this material world. This knowledge is the mature fruit. And again, we're not just talking about some theory or some learning, it's the realization of that knowledge. Practical. By practical application of the knowledge, we get this word jnana is knowledge. Vigyan is the realization. So practically applying knowledge, we get vigyan. This knowledge is the mature fruit of devotional service. By practically applying the knowledge of this science of devotional service, and by the grace Krishna himself says, he reveals everything. Krishna reveals the truth. And when one is situated in transcendental knowledge, he need not search for peace elsewhere. Why? Because he's satisfied, for he enjoys peace within himself. That's where real peace lies. It's not an external adjustment. Peace is a state of consciousness, which is an internal state of consciousness, which manifests externally as well. May not be always noted or understood by persons in the conditioned world. Those who are actually on the spiritual path are peaceful within. They're not agitated by material sense desires or aspirations in this material world, or by the modes of nature, etc. They're peaceful. Like a lamp, earlier in the Gita, Krishna said, like a lamp in a windless place. He enjoys peace within himself. Sounds a bit like self-enjoyment here, but there's more to it than that. In other words, this knowledge and peace culminate in Krishna consciousness. So there's two sides. There's one, the beginning, which in a sense is mentioned here, that this is the practice of devotional service leads to this peace and this happiness and this realization. But that's when real, as we hear in the 18th chapter, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Sochitita Kamshitiya, the real devotional service begins when we come to that platform of realization, that platform of Brahman, understanding the spiritual nature of life. When there's no more disturbance, no more hankering, no more lamenting, or anything in this world. That's the spiritual platform. It doesn't mean the devotional platform, but for those who are on the platform of aspiring for a devotional service to Krishna, that's the platform where the pure devotional service can really begin. When we realize our spiritual identity, that's knowledge of how, and then knowledge how we can realize our spiritual identity is given also. And at that time, then when one's devotion, real Krishna consciousness begins. When it's no longer disturbed. Peace means no longer disturbed by the material objects or material aspirations. So that's peace, in peaceful condition, satisfied within. And that is the last word of Bhagavad Gita. Last word. To come to Krishna consciousness. The whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to come to Krishna consciousness. In the 18th chapter, the final concluding verses of Krishna's instruction to Arjuna, Manmana Bhavamat Bhakto Madhyaji Manamaskuru Manapachasi Satyakirti, that always think of me, fix our mind on Krishna, always worshipping Krishna, being fully engaged in devotional service to Krishna, you will come to me without a doubt, Krishna says. This is in the Bhagavad Gita, this is the concluding verse, basically. There are verses after, but that's the essential verse of the Gita, and the purpose of the Gita. That is the stage of surrender to Krishna. And that's the purpose of Gita. It's not just a guidebook for living in this world, or an interesting philosophy. Some people see it like that. But it's actually to come to this point of realization. The goal of life is to surrender to Krishna and to absorb ourselves in remembering Krishna in everything we do, because that's Krishna consciousness. 18th chapter, at least the last part especially, is aimed at that principle of becoming conscious of Krishna in everything we do. Krishna consciousness. When we're conscious of Krishna, then naturally we feel the energy of Krishna, we feel the qualities of Krishna. And amongst those is Ananda, blissful, nature of the soul to be blissful. When we're in the presence of somebody we really like, we feel good. When a mother, when a child goes to school and the young child comes home, the mother feels very, very happy to see her child coming home. Very happy. Materially speaking, it's very happiness. When we see somebody we really like, we feel happy. And ultimately our best friend is Krishna. He's a Suridam Sarvabhutanam, he's a friend of everyone. And when we actually realize that, even without realization, of course we may not get the opportunity to feel that, but that's only generally revealed to those who are devotees. He reveals himself to the devotees. And that's where the highest pleasure, to have that opportunity to have the association of Krishna. We're getting it every day. We may not kind of see it like that, but we are, of course, in the form of a deity. That's a little easier to get around, at least for devotees. And we have in many other forms too, the opportunity to associate with Krishna in the form of the holy name, in the form of transcendental literatures, in the form of prasadam, and pictures, and different things. We have this kind of opportunity, we would say, to directly associate with Krishna. Problem being is that we don't really take advantage. It's like if somebody's speaking and we're not listening, we don't get much benefit, if any. Somebody comes to your house, we take no notice of them, we get no benefit, maybe even negative result. So it's like that. We have to be Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Shamsundar. We have to be attentive when we hear. If we're attentive when someone speaks, not only does the speaker become enthused, but we may actually understand what they're saying. We may be able to digest it. The Bhagavad Gita, we're meant to hear. Krishna says in the 18th chapter, if you heard this attentively with your mind, are your doubts now destroyed? If you do not hear me, Krishna says to Arjuna, if you do not hear me, but act through your false ego, you'll be lost. Be lost. We have to hear Krishna. And hearing means, for instance, example, if anyone says, excuse me, could I have a cup of water? Yes. 5 minutes passed, nothing's happened. They're still stood there looking at you. Sorry, but perhaps you didn't hear me. Is it possible I could have a cup of water? Yes, of course you can. You think, what type of person is this? They say yes, but then they do nothing. I know these things. We hear this sometimes. Some people say that when we go on Sankirtana. Ever come across that? Especially, with all due respect, especially Indian people say that. I am knowing these things. They don't know a thing. Nothing. Otherwise they do something about it. Knowing means you do something about it, not just some useless kind of claim. Everything has to need to be, money is useless unless you use it. Everything's like that. You have to use it. This human life is useless unless we use it properly. Shramahevi kevalam. We have to utilize it properly. So that's what Krishna's teaching us, how to utilize our human life. But not many people listen. Or if they do listen, they listen to the wrong source. They listen to somebody who's perverting the message of Krishna. One also has to hear from the right source. We may be eager to hear, but if we hear from the wrong person, we get lost. You may be very eager to find out how to get from A to B, but you're asking the wrong people. Asking someone, you go down the street there. Turn third on the right. Third on the right. Definitely, third on the right. And you go, you go down that way. Go down there, okay? Go. Completely the wrong direction, maybe. You have to know the person we're asking knows where they're going. You go to anyone, teacher, doctor, anybody, they should know what they're talking about. Otherwise we may get lost or get in trouble. So this is Bhagavad Gita spoken by Krishna, given to us by Srila Prabhupada. We just have to listen and apply it. Very simple. It's like medicine. Prabhupada says we have to take the prescription. The doctor gives us a prescription, and the prescription says take the tablets 3 times a day after your meal, and like that. And you go, well, why should I do that? There's 90 tablets in the bottle, 30-day course, right? Well, let me take them all at once. I might forget, after all. If I take them all at once, I'll get cured quicker, right? Why wait 30 days? I can take all 90 tablets at once. Surely I'll be completely cured immediately. Well, you may not have any problem with that disease anymore. You may not be in the body to have any problem with disease anymore. That's not the way it's done. We have to take according to the prescription. Krishna consciousness is a science. It's sweet. It's not like bitter medicine. It's sweet medicine, as mentioned here. One enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course. It may take a little time before the full enjoyment's there. But in this age of Kali, particularly Lord Chaitanya, Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya, has made it, even in the neophyte beginner stage, quite joyful, if we take it. Dancing, feasting. It's a pretty good spiritual path. Go back to Godhead by feasting on gulab jamuns. It's not a bad path. Right? He overdosed. What happened to him? He had an overdose of gulabs. He left his body on the 108th gulab. Not bad. Finish one round of gulabs. 108. We're not recommending it, but not a bad thing. Dancing, chanting, feasting, festivals. Nice. Jolly. Happy, smiling devotees. It's fun. Even the philosophy, we may not realize it, still it's something special. Because it's coming through the pure devotee. You know, it's like a mother sometimes, when the baby has to have some food, the mother's worried the baby won't be able to digest it. So she puts it in her mouth and chews it herself, without taking anything in. Maybe not even tasting it, just preparing it for her baby so the baby can digest it. Like that. Chews it away. Then puts it in the baby's mouth. So it's soft and enriched with the love of the mother, and it's easy for the baby to digest. Like that. So the pure devotees, they make it digestible. Otherwise it's not easy to digest. They give us the means to digest it. So take advantage of this. Great opportunity given to us by Srila Prabhupada. Read his books, try to understand it, discuss it, and try to apply it in our lives. And we can share it with others. Where's my bag? This Puma bag. Maybe someone put some yeah. You have so many books here, but never mind. Anybody coming for the first time? Anyone here coming for the first time? Don't be shy. First time? First time?
Yes.
You have some gifts for the first timers?
Yes.
We're going to ask questions now. If anyone has any questions, please ask. Any questions? Wherever we go, we always try to carry books with us. You know one thing? If you carry books with you, it's possible to distribute books. Do you know another thing? If you don't carry books with you, it's not possible to distribute books. Logic, isn't it? What's the value of distributing the books? Huh? What's the point of distributing books? Anyone know?
Talk about Krishna.
Huh?
Talk about Krishna.
In a minute, we're having questions right now. Huh?
Talk about Krishna.
What's the point of giving people books? Huh?
To talk.
We have more space in the temple.
Distribute the knowledge.
Distribute the knowledge. The books, these are not ordinary books. These books are the words of Krishna coming to us. Practical. that we can use in our lives. Any one of these books. Beautiful. The Hare Krishna Challenge. It's Prabhupada. Discussing, you're not the Supreme, I'm sorry, you're not the Supreme. And Prabhupada explains why you're not the Supreme. He talks about some controversial things, women's liberation, I'm not going to talk about that at all. The morals of meat eating. In other words, people don't think. The night and day dream, Prabhupada's talking about plain living, high thinking, all sorts of things. Society without brains, not where they're going. Some topics, science, education, different things. People are so, in ignorance, we're so conditioned to think this is it, The Prabhupada is waking us up, giving us a different perspective. Bhakti. Bhakti means devotional service. This is nectar devotion, is the basic essence of the nectar of devotion. The prayers of Lord Brahma, Brahma Samhita. Life comes from life, believe it or not. Life doesn't come from matter. You can't create something unless that which is created has it. The creator, rather, has to have that which is created. It's simple logic. People don't seem to catch it very easily. Path of perfection. Very simple. Perfect questions. Perfect answers, Srila Prabhupada. Little book with nice questions and answers. The matchless gift. Prabhupada, in 1966, started his preaching right here in New York, in a shop called the Matchless Gifts. And there's a new book, it's called In Essence. Again, it's questions people ask and answers to those questions given by Prabhupada. Kind of questions public ask. But these things, people need to hear. If we don't hear, we'll never get out of ignorance. This is how we hear. This is how this movement has spread all over the world, mostly through the distribution of transcendental literatures. Of course we have Bhagavad Gitas. I'm sure we do. And many books. So if you want any, you're welcome to please come. Any questions? Any questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for the nice class. So, as you mentioned, we get the knowledge and we should try to apply the knowledge.
And share it with others.
Share it. So, how we can make sure that the knowledge what we are getting is the right knowledge?
How can you be assured that the knowledge you're getting is the right knowledge, not the wrong knowledge? Well, there are different aspects there. Especially in terms of, let's give a material example. How do you know when you go to the doctor, you're going to the right place? Well, that's one thing, but how do you know when you go to the doctor you're going to the right place? Huh?
He has a certification.
Yeah, he's authorized by who?
Board of Medicine.
Okay, we have in our day-to-day life, there's Board of Medicine. They authorize people who are then representing, they're understood to be authorized as doctors. So one of the aspects is the source of our knowledge. We should see what is the source. Now, again, you can go round and round in circles if you want, but the general understanding is that knowledge is passed through or down from, teacher to student. That's the general understanding. So there's a system, a Vedic system, that's given clearly. You can see it there in the Bhagavad Gita. You can't deny it. It's just written there. Try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire submissively. So what is a spiritual master, and how is same chapter 4, these things are explained. As knowledge, Krishna says, is passed down through a line of disciplic succession. From teacher to the student becomes a teacher, and down the line like this, repeating what the teacher said. Now what else can we say? So that's one thing, to check to see what the source of our knowledge is. try to find out. Don't just blindly listen to anyone. But see what their credentials are. Are they in disciplic succession? What else?
Second opinion.
Pardon?
Second opinion.
Okay, second opinion. We often do. You know, if you go into a doctor and everyone who's been there never comes out again, only the ambulance comes or the coffins come in, and the mortuary, they go to the mortuary every time they enter the doctor's clinic, you'll probably have more than second thoughts about going there. If everyone who goes there comes out dead to the doctor's clinic, you'll definitely have second thoughts. You're going to take, what do you been to that doctor? What's it like? You know, what do you think? And I said, very, very good. Oh, yeah, first class. You know, whatever you say. It gives you, you know, let me try it. Prabhupada himself, I mean, he came to his spiritual master a little like that. His friend, Narendranath Malik, was pulling him. Come, Abai, come. This is not an ordinary spiritual teacher. He's genuine, he's real. Prabhupada, no, I've heard too many, you know, false neck people. But when he went there, he heard. And he could tell by hearing. This is not an ordinary situation. This person is out of this incredible. And also he could understand that he's not just speaking on his own account. He's repeating the words of scripture, the words of, which of course probably none of them knew about, was born in the Vaishnava family, but repeating the words of Krishna, authoritatively speaking the words of Krishna. So you may take a second opinion and you check it out yourself. Sometimes they say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We have to see by the symptoms, right? If everyone who comes becomes more absorbed in material sense enjoyment, then we can understand this. It doesn't sound right, does it? There should be some tangible effect that we may experience ourselves. There should be some tangible effect. If someone gives us a direction how to go from here to Washington, and we get in and we start on the highway, and after an hour we see a sign, what do we say, Boston, 400 kilometers. We may scratch our head, am I on the right road? You don't expect to see a sign for Boston when you go towards Washington. You know, there's certain signs you check with the actual teaching itself, the scripture. That's where scriptures, guru, sadhu, all have to be there. Checks and balances are there. What else? Anything else? How can we know? How can you know the food isn't poisonous? How do you know it's not? We have faith, right? You have faith. When you go out there, you don't expect, you know, the food. You pick up a gulab jamun, you expect it to be sweet. If you pick up a gulab jamun and it's bitter, and they soaked it in neem juice instead of sugar juice, you know, it wouldn't be very nice. But you expect it to be sweet, because it's a gulab. There's some faith is there. But the real faith is solidified when we taste it. So we practice devotional service. Prabhupada says it's voluntary. There's nothing to lose. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. You try it and see. It's the test. We do our best. You have to have a little bit of intelligence to try to understand, you know, a little bit. Like if you want to buy gold, you have to have a little bit of intelligence to know what is gold. Otherwise you will get cheated. Somebody will sell you something which is not really gold. It looks like gold, but it's not. You have to have a little intelligence. You have to check to see if it's coming from the right source, what the tests are, whether it's gold or not. The same in spiritual life. You have to see is the teacher himself practicing what he's preaching? Or is he just cheating? In different ways. Check. Other personalities, just like Krishna, Arjuna says, I accept you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubt. And I'm not just saying this because you're my friend, but because all of the great saintly persons have accepted you too. Narada Muni, Sita Deva, Vyasa, they've all accepted you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not just me. So you also check to see there's other great personalities throughout the course of time present also. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And don't forget the Prabhupada Book Marathon next month, starting I don't know when.
Haribo.
Gita Jayanti, which is on the 7th or 8th of December. I don't know what your calendar is. 7th, okay. Some places 7th, some 8th.
Yes.
We're having, I've cheated in France, I've made it the 8th. Why? Because the 7th is World Enlightenment Day, so I thought, let's have 2 days instead of 1.
Yeah.
Because they have World Enlightenment Day the same day as Gita Jayanti. So Gita Jayanti is already enough to encourage us to distribute Bhagavad Gita. So why not have 2 days? And India is on the 8th anyway, at least on the Hindu calendar. So I thought 2 days we'll have. 1 day we'll just distribute books as much as we can. The next day we'll do Gitas as much as we can. Like that. So you can do what you like here, it's up to you. I'm sure we'll do many books. Hare Krishna, we have some new devotees here tonight, huh?
Yes, one.
Where are they? 2. There were 2 hands went up, one's gone.
We go from the nose.
Hmm? What about the new devotee?
I give a book.
Oh, you gave a book. He has some announcements now. He wants the mic. Is that the announcement?
Let's thank Maharaj for Haribo. Haribo! 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 Zoranathananda Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Today's Sunday feast is sponsored by 3 families. Sharat Bihari Prabhu and Sarde Ras Mataji for their son's birthday.
Haribo.
They are here, please come forward. Vijay Narasimha and Navaneet Krishna. So let's bless both of them. Lord Haribo.
Haribo.
Haribo! 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 Krishna Yarnathirasti. So we are okay to get that.
Someone spilt the honey on the table here.
Next is Kishore Bhupati Prabhu and Kavita Bhupati Mataji sponsoring in memory of
Where are they?
Kishore
Where are they?
Father.
Where's the sponsor?
Mogalaya Bhupati.
Where's the sponsor?
So, let's bless the departed soul. Mogalaya Bhupati Prabhu. 3 times Haribo. Haribo! Haribo! Haribo!
Okay, they've got going. Who's the sponsor? You're the sponsor?
Yes. One of
Thank you
us.
very much. Haribo. You want to take a book? Choose one. Whatever you like. And a special gift. Token of appreciation.
Third sponsor is Nirali Mataji for her son Nimai's 8th birthday. They are here, please come forward. We have cake to cut. Yes. Upcoming announcements. November 22nd, Friday. This coming Friday is Ekadasi, Utpanna Ekadasi. Fasting from grains and beans. We'll have Ekadasi Kirtan in the evening. So 7 to 9, please join here at this temple. November 23rd, third Saturday next day, Parana time is 6:54 a.m. to 10:08 a.m. Then the next big festival is December 7th Saturday, which Maharaj already mentioned. 7th Saturday, Mokshada Ekadasi. It's very, very important festival. Gita Jayanti, Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita on this day. Kurukshetra, you can see the place even now near Delhi. So please join us in this temple. So and we have you can sponsor a chapter, 1 chapter of Bhagavad Gita, multiple chapters. You'll get a 1 box of Bhagavad Gita, $108 only. 16 books will be there. So you can distribute. This is November, December, Thanksgiving. So please take books of Bhagavad Gita and then you can distribute that as a thanks, gratitude, giving distribution of mercy. So please 5 to 9 p.m. we'll have Yajna reading 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Please join us here with your family, friends. Please invite as many people as possible. So we'll have cake cutting now. Sing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna to you.
Woohoo! Hare Krishna.
Happy birthday
two kids. Is it they're both their birthdays? Same day? Same day? Birthdays on the same day?
4 days.
Whoa, very close. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Hare Krishna.
Why here? Why?
I got same t-shirts on. Same t-shirts, huh? Wow. Yeah, we have to open.
Open this. Shreyas. He is also homeschooled.
Homeschooled?
12 now.
12 years old?
Yeah.
What do you want to do when you get older?
Akka is
Huh?
Please come forward, come back.
financial advisor or lawyer.
Of the mayor?
Sign out.
Sister is there, elder sister going in that path.
Law?
Law,
Oh.
towards law.
You want here or there?
Anyway, wherever.
Well, you tell me.
White page is good.